Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe Garish, owner of Backwoods Pursuit, and in today's episode of Backwoods Hacks, I'm going to show you what I take with me for my backcountry bow repair kit. Now, this is something that always comes with me when I'm out for several nights, but I even take some of these items with me even on day trips if I need to do a quick repair. I'm going to go through this real quick for you so you can build your own kit that's going to work best for you. All right, so the first thing I always have with me is some Allen wrenches. This here is the Easton Pro Hex set. Now, you probably don't need to carry this entire set, although you certainly can. It weighs 5 ounces, so that's more than I want to carry if I don't have to, and most of the time you're not going to need all these sizes. So what I like to do is go over, grab my bow, see what sizes I'm going to need. Most likely, certainly your rest, maybe some of your cam Allen heads, things like that. Anything on your sight that you're going to need to possibly tighten down, and make sure you have that size with you, and then put it in some kind of little baggie like this so that you're going to cut down a bunch of that weight. There's certainly nothing wrong with taking the whole set, but 5 ounces is kind of a lot for just a set of Allen wrenches. Next, I'm going to go through what I've got in my little bag here. I've got just a small plastic bag with a bunch of small parts that are actually really critical if you need to do any repairs on your bow out in the field. First, depending on what kind of rest that you use will determine what you need to take to do any repairs on that. I shoot a Hamskea Trinity, and because of that, I take a spare down cable, got a spring in there and whatnot. Make sure you have the correct size Allen wrench to make that repair if you need to. So I've got all that there just ready to go. It's all in one little package all by itself. Next up, you want to make sure you have a way to repair your D-loop or put a new D-loop on if that were to break. It's such an easy repair that you want to make sure that you have some D-loop material with you. I've got 2 strands here, so I can repair mine or a buddy's or whatnot. Or if you make a mistake, you have an extra one there. Such easy repair and doesn't weigh anything. Got to have some of that with you. Next, if you do shoot something like a ripcord or a different style rest, make sure you have cordage to make a repair there. So I've also take with me a couple of ripcord cables so that I can make that repair, because my wife and my son both have one of those, so I can make that repair if that cord were to break or whatnot. That's a little more difficult to do in the field, but it is doable. I also want to make sure that I have some serving. It's easy to redo some serving if you need to, and serving is good for other things, not just repairing your bow. I always want to have some serving with me. I like to take with me 1 field tip. You can take 2 if you want, but in the event that you had a rest move or something come out of tune slightly, it's nice to have a field tip to throw on there so you can test your setup once you get it back to working order. In the worst case, you can lose your field tip and whatnot. If you shoot it into a tree or whatnot, you can leave that there, unscrew your arrow. That's kind of a worst case scenario, but if you have to, it's better than hiking 6 miles back to the truck or whatnot. I like to take with me an extra peep to repair or replace a peep if for whatever reason that were to fall out and it weighs nothing. So it's the same exact size peep that I have on my bow currently. I also like to have a dampener of some kind if your bow has a dampener. If it doesn't, you don't really need to. The Bowtech that I have right now doesn't have any dampener that can wear out or fall off, but some of the Matthews do. Some or the one that I used to have had one of these monkey tails, so I've just left it in my kit if myself needs it or somebody else that's with me. Super easy that way. One other thing you can take with you is some string wax. It's not a bad thing to have. You certainly don't want to take a whole thing like this of string wax, so you can carve some out, put it in a little baggie. You could cut this off and put it in its own little plastic baggie, whatever you want to do. Sometimes if you're out for a long period of time, your string can get really dry if the weather's hot and cold and wet and dry and whatnot. So that's nice to have as well. And then all of this can either go in just a plastic bag, or it's also nice to get one of these size small initial ascent pack sacks. There's some others out there, of course, on the market, but something like that works really well. This one's a little bit big for this kit. I prefer to do something like a bag like this, or maybe just a little bit bigger, depending on what size Allen wrenches you put in there and that sort of thing. So that's what I take with me for my backcountry bow repair kit when I'm out in the field for multiple days, and some of the lighter weight things I always take with me regardless. Now, back at the truck, I of course have a full tool kit for larger repairs if I need to do that, but I always bring or have with me my Bowmaster bow press. Make sure that that is available at the truck if I need to press my bow, and leave that in one of these initial ascent pack sacks. That works really well. And then I leave this DIY bow holder that I made back at the truck as well. Really makes using the press a lot easier. I'll put a link up here to a video I made on how I made this bow press. It's really quick, easy, and cheap. I would certainly recommend taking one of those with you to do a little bit of work back at the truck for yourself. Now, if you shoot a movable sight, you can take extra sight tape as well. I don't, because I know where my zero is on my movable sight. So even if my sight tape fell off, I shoot a 4-pin, so I'm good 20 all the way out to 60 without moving my sight, and I know where that zero is. So I don't take that with me, but if you shoot a single pin or something like that, that might not be a bad idea to have a spare sight tape if that were to fall off or get wet and then disintegrate or something like that. So another thing to consider there. So that is what I take. I'll put a link to all this stuff down in the description for you so you can check it out for yourself if you need to build your kit. Drop any comments, questions down there for me. If you have any other suggestions, anything I missed you think I should be taking, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for joining us here today. We'll see you next time.